eliminated, as in no more jobs for them.
For years, experts predicted employment will decline. But so far, it's never happened. When markets are free, some people do lose jobs, and that's hard on them and their families.
If I was a typewriter builder 30 years ago, the personal computer probably destroyed my job. If I was a candle maker, electricity destroyed my job.
It's upsetting when any person loses a job. But overall, capitalism creates millions more jobs. When America began, 90% of workers worked on farms. Now fewer than 2% do. Farm workers found better jobs.
As long as our economy has the dynamism that free markets allow, we're going to see more job creation and higher income levels. And that's what makes the children and grandchildren of typewriter makers so much better off.
What's going on, everyone? Stossel Kenny here today. We're back with part 2 about capitalism myths. Let's get into the video.
Part 2 of our myths about capitalism, starting with myth 4. Free markets create unsafe workplaces. Only government through agencies like OSHA can stop that.
Bruh. I don't know what else to put. To me, this is the dumb part. It has this belief that people cannot do things in their best interest. That's what it is. That you need a third-party vendor. You need the government to speak on your behalf and saying, oh, this is an unsafe work environment. We don't want you to get taken advantage of. So we'll step in and dictate to the employer what you need and don't need. When me, like, that's what I'm saying. I don't want the government to do nothing for me. I can handle that myself. Hey, you guys got an unsafe work environment. I'm not going to work here. I'm going to work for this place that does have a safe workplace environment. It's a competitive edge. If you want to stay competitive, right? If this employer does this thing, oh, it's a hazardous workplace. You gain a reputation and people don't want to work for you. And if you want to get the best talent for your job, you'll have to change what you're incentivized to change. This is why I'm saying that in the free market, I don't need the government to put out these laws saying that, I don't need affirmative action. Sorry about that. I messed up. I don't need affirmative action. This is why I don't need affirmative action, because I believe in the free market. I believe that if I'm good enough, it won't matter what my skin color is. It don't matter what your prejudice views are about me. You're going to know, hey, Kenny is a valuable employee and I need him at my workplace. So I better make my workplace as comfortable and as accepting as possible, or else I'll eat the cost of discrimination. Discrimination has a cost. If I'm the best person for the job and you discriminate me based on my color, my skin, and another job doesn't, he's gonna have the advantage. All you have to look at is historically look at football. They didn't want to recruit black players, and what happened? What happened to the schools that didn't recruit black players? The schools that were willing to recruit black players, they just started mollywopping all the teams that were having all white teams. And what happened? Those coaches' jobs were on the line. And what happened? They're like, oh, I guess we gotta recruit these black players now. And look, now all these sports almost majority black. And that's the example I like to point to whenever someone comes to me and tell me that I need the government to save me. But I digress. Let's continue.
Economist Dan Mitchell explains why that's a myth.
I've had some show me charts showing, oh, look at how workplace fatalities have come down ever since OSHA was created. Well, I actually went to that same data source and I looked at the decades before OSHA was created.
No wonder the bureaucrats don't show us that. Fatality rates were already going down just as fast.
You just... Yo, so you telling me the government just wanted to take credit? That's crazy. Look at the chart. It was already going down, and the government saying, look, we were created. Ever since we were created, the workplace deaths has gone down. This is why they say correlation doesn't equal causation, and this is the proof of it. This is why there's 3 lies. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. But I digress. Let's continue.
Why?
As we become richer, we become safer.
The wealth capitalism creates lets us afford safety devices and build machines to do the most dangerous work.
In capitalist societies, we have cleaner water, cleaner air, better lifestyles. We need more capitalism because when people get rich, they can afford more safety.
But before government protected us, I'm told unfettered capitalism created evil robber barons.
Before he continues, I just wanted to make a point that about him saying that capitalists make safer societies. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Look at Cuba; people are running away from there, right? Sweden's becoming more capitalistic now, and people like to use Sweden as, oh, it's a socialist country. It's not a socialist country. It's a capitalist country. They call themselves capitalists, and if you keep saying that they're not capitalists, then you got an objection because these people themselves say, hey, Sweden's not a socialist country, we're a capitalist country. But hey, I digress.
Bruh. Who toiled often in dangerous conditions for little pay.
But little pay compared to what?
When we look back upon factory life 100 years ago, we think, oh my God, that's terrible. Because by our standards today, it is terrible. But compared to toiling.
Yeah, it's precisism, right? You judge everything in the past based on what is accessible today. When you go back to Rome, you live as the Romans do. What was accessible to the Romans back in the day is not as modern as today. And people like to judge people, never been a Nazi. Well, if you lived in Nazi Germany, most likely you would have been a Nazi. Because those people, peer pressure is a thing. You're not as brave as you think you are. No one is. That's why they say everyone got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Bruh.
For 14 hours a day on a farm for half as much money, that stage of our economic development was practically nirvana.
Still, most people were poor while
the robber barons amassed a huge amount of wealth. Folks like John D. Rockefeller, who created the oil industry.
People still call Rockefeller a robber baron, but he wasn't born rich, and he didn't rob. Rockefeller got rich by inventing ways to deliver oil for less.
John D. Rockefeller kept lowering the price. That's why he got more market share.
No one was forced to buy his oil. And although the media implied that people suffered to support the fat cats, the entrepreneur's innovations actually made almost everyone better off.
In the 1800s, the era of the so-called robber barons, we went from agricultural poverty to a country characterized by middle-class prosperity.
Give people who teach American history a L, because it's all about narrative shaping at this point. People want narrative shape. Oh, look how bad the times were until the government came involved. If you're pro-government, that's the tune you're singing. But if you know history for real, you're like, government's trying to take credit for all the success and results of the capitalists that built the society, that helped push the industrial age, push machinery, get into a point where now women feel comfortable enough. Okay, we want equality now. Now it's easier to do manual labor, no more manual labor jobs anymore. Now we want equality, right? Capitalism allowed that. I bet you if government was in charge of everything, every minute lifestyle choices that we have to make, we'll still be in the agricultural poverty today. I'm being dead serious, because government has not, and I don't think that ever in the history of government has they ever been in the forefront of innovation. That's always been the people. And the government always just follows, because at the end of the day, the government represents the people. So if the people don't come up with that idea, the government ain't sure hell is not. But that's just my personal take. Let's get back into the video.
Cornelius Vanderbilt was another tycoon the anti-capitalist media called a robber baron. But he too was no baron. He was born poor. At age 11...
Oh, and this one inconvenient truth that people tend to forget. Most millionaires weren't born millionaires. It's not inherited wealth. It's self-made millionaires. That's the most millionaires are self-made. Most people, the richest, whatever people in the world, usually are self-made. They didn't come from money, for the most part. They may come from a good upbringing, 2-parent household, maybe, but they didn't come from wealth. So this narrative, the rich just take from the poor. The poor can become the rich. That's the capitalist system. But yeah, I digress. Let's get back into the video.
He quit school to work on boats. Then he invented ways to make travel cheaper. He cut the New York-Hartford fare from $5 to $1. His competitors didn't bother because they were used to friendly politicians giving them subsidies. That's not capitalism.
And then they get lazy. That's what I'm talking about. When the government gets involved, That's the capitalism they criticize. The imagination of capitalism. Oh, look how corrupt capitalism is. Capitalism is another form of slavery. No, it's not. It's a voluntary system. If you don't like to work under demand, then you be the man. You start your own business. You start your own thing. You go get a business loan. You create a business plan. You don't have startup capital? Go fundraise. Right? But people want to make endless excuses for why they don't have what they want in life. And then when they see you doing it, they seeing you, starting your own business, you being successful, whatever, they want to kind of give themselves an out. So they give themselves the excuse, he cheated to get that money. He robbed somebody to get that. He didn't get that honestly. He got help from a millionaire friend. That's how he got successful. He just got lucky. Just to absolve themselves of any responsibility for why they ain't making it in life.
How dare you?
Like, I know someone hearing me. I know. But hey, I digress. Let's get back into the video.
That's corporatism. Only when politicians leave capitalism largely alone does it create wealth. Still, I hear that capitalism just isn't good for us.
Capitalism is not designed to optimize our well-being.
Does anyone still believe that cheaper iPhones or more Amazon deliveries of plastic garbage from China are going to make us happy?
We're not buying iPhones and plastic garbage unless we think it's better for us than the dollars that we have in our bank accounts. Capitalism is the only system that gives people the liberty to make their own choices. I want liberty.
However, now I'm told
A robot is probably going to take your job.
that's our last myth. Capitalism will take away everyone's job.
50% of the workforce.
I got an objection. Capitalism taking away people's jobs. Wait, who gives you the jobs in the first place? Business owners. Small businesses account for more than half of the jobs created in this economy. Small businesses, not big corporate businesses, small businesses. So if the business is creating jobs, you're saying the businesses are going to take jobs. Like it's a narrative thing. It has a slight hint of entitlement.
It doesn't make sense.
That people feel entitled to a job when they didn't create the job in the first place. This is why I have more respect for self-employed people. And like as an employee, I know, hey, I'm at will. This is at will employment. That means if I'm not carrying my weight, if I'm not providing enough value to my employer, he can fire me. I'll be sorry, wrong button. I'll be out the door in a minute. You're not entitled to anything in this life. And this is this false sense of entitlement that we have, that we feel, automation is threatening the U.S. workforce. No, I'm pretty sure that people will find a way. I lost this job. No, automation will probably make the manual task easier to do, the repeatable task easier to do. But those jobs will still be needed from a planning perspective, at least. But end of the day, this is why I stress personal responsibility. Doesn't matter how we feel about this.
It doesn't matter how it makes you feel.
You have to be responsible for yourself. And if you're responsible for yourself, you should see the trend. Okay, turn myself into something else or create a business so I can leverage the automation. Like what? Why we can't think like that? It's because I think as a society, as American, we've been coddled. Like I honestly believe we've been coddled to the point where now we expect people to do things on our best interest when technically it's up to you to do what's in the best interest of yourself and not rely on other people to do something for you on your behalf. I digress. Let's get back into the video.
Force being completely eliminated, as in no more jobs for them.
For years, experts predicted employment will decline. But so far, it's never happened. When markets are free, some people do lose jobs, and that's hard on them and their families.
If I was a typewriter builder 30 years ago, the personal computer probably destroyed my job. If I was a candle maker, electricity destroyed my job.
It's upsetting when any person loses a job. But overall, capitalism creates millions more jobs. When America began, 90% of workers worked on farms.
And here's my thing with people who don't like capitalism. It's trade-offs, bro. Like, look at all the options. Look at all the good resulting from capitalism. All right, can we make it better? Yeah, I can agree. We can make anything better, right? But People argue that capitalism isn't even really an economic system. It's just a way of life. Capitalism represents survival of the fittest. If you ain't the most valuable person, you ain't gonna get the most money. If you wasn't essential, you won't have a job. Right? Capitalism reflects reality the closest. And we categorize it as a system. But it's not predetermined. Like, these are not predetermined rules. It's just an extension of what already exists throughout our history. Hey, can you mow my lawn for me? I'll give you a piece of bread for it. Exchange, reciprocity. That's what capitalism is. Capitalism essentially is an extension of that, but at a larger scale. That's it. And we just we decided to give it a name. That's what capitalism is. Capitalism is like almost close. I would argue that it's closer to natural law. It's just a natural behavior of human beings. One human is not going to do something out of the goodness of his heart for a stranger unless there's something in it for him. You want to be the richest person in the land? You have to provide the most value to everybody in your society. Go. It's channeling that darker, if you want to call it darker, but it's channeling human self-interest in a goal-oriented way for the good of society. That's what capitalism is. That's just my take. If you have you let me know in the comment section. But I digress. Let's get back into the video.
Now fewer than 2% do. Farm workers found better jobs.
As long as our economy has the dynamism that free markets allow, we're going to see more job creation and higher income levels. And that's what makes the children and grandchildren of typewriter makers so much better off.
And steering on its own.
Now, truck drivers rightly fear self-driving trucks.
Would you, Tucker Carlson, be in favor of restrictions to use this sort of technology?
Are you joking? In a second.
Nah. Nah, Tucker. I don't agree with you there, bro. Nah. Because it's utilization, bro. Utilize what make, like, imagine you still have to monitor it. This stuff is still fairly new, but to limit capacity, this is my thing. This is why they start thinking like a socialist. And this is why I don't really agree with Ben Shapiro, because I think I have a libertarian streak in me. Like, I don't want people dictating what I can and can't do. Right? Unless it's a valid reason, right? If what I do is interfering with your rights or what you're doing, okay, I agree with you. Okay, now if I'm stepping on your property, okay, I can't, all libertarian like step on your yard. I understand that's your property, that's your private. I respect your space, that's your space. Fine. Right? It's a two-way street. If I don't want him to do that to me, I don't want to do it to the other person. Right? I don't like this, like, I want to limit your capacity because it's threatening something else. Like, no, like, adapt or die. That's been the way of human existence, life in general, is either you adapt or you die. I hope I'm making sense, man. I hope I'm making sense. But hey, let's get back into the video.
In a second. In other words, if I were president, we're not letting driverless trucks on the road, period.
Support the coalition of obsolete industries?
But what would happen if politicians did block innovation? This parody lays it out pretty well.
I used to have to clean people's toilets, empty them from the alleyway behind the house, and now flushing toilets and plumbing has taken away my job.
Electricity has taken over my profession.
Well, that sounds like Tucker being worried about driverless trucks.
If we don't stop progress, how will anyone ever have jobs?
Creative destruction does destroy, but what it creates is so much bigger, so much richer, and so much better for us.
Better for most everyone. Rich and poor. That's capitalism.
That's something that we should be celebrating. No other system anywhere in the world has ever come close to capitalism's ability to generate mass prosperity.
Yeah, I have to agree. And this is why, like, a lot of the poorest countries in the world, actually, they're so resistant against capitalism. I remember I watched a video about Africa, how Africa doesn't want, like, they don't embrace foreign international businesses to come into their villages and all this stuff that can bring market economic activity to these locations, because they want to keep everything on with Africa. But if you don't exchange something of value to someone else for value, you don't get it 100% of nothing. And I think this is what causes a mass poverty in all these like nations, Haiti, Africa, most part, right? And people don't want to admit that. Like, look at the good that capitalism brings. Yes, you can tweak it up, fine. I'm not saying it's a perfect system, but for what it offers, I think it's worth keeping. Like, I don't understand this push for people wanting, I want socialism. I want socialism.
Nope.
I don't want socialism, bro. Like, I seen the results. I already seen people attempt socialism. I don't know how many times, and I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. How people still want to try it. Oh, that wasn't real socialism. Like, every time someone they call themselves a socialist, try to make your socialist society, and then the other socialists say that's not socialism. How convenient for you.
How dare you?
How convenient that, when it fails, it's not socialism. But hey, I digress. Let me guys know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.